Hey guys, it's Kate, and today I wanted to show you how we can make quick sketches of berries. This is my sheet of studies. I did some sketches of berries here already, and today I'm going to show you how to do some simple sketches of berries with soft pastels. I have already sketched out using a pastel pencil the berries that I will be drawing, and I will start immediately with the soft pastels. I'm going to do this strawberry first so that I can show you how we can add some texture to the strawberry. The first thing I do before I start adding any detail, obviously, is I will layer in the colors on the strawberry, like map in the colors of the strawberry itself where I see them. So I'm going into the shadow parts and the mid-tone values. And I'm not applying it very thick. Oh, also I forgot to say, this is a Canson Mid-Tones paper, the smooth side, and I think it's velvet gray or one of the gray shades. So the first thing I do is I cover the strawberry with my red. It's quite a soft pastel, this one. And I'm looking at my reference. It's okay if I go over my green parts here at the top, but I'm looking at my reference just to get the color where I need it. So now I'm gonna add an orangier red just to give it some more brightness to the strawberry. This is a unison color, I love it. So I'm adding it just at the very top here. And we can even go and add some bright orange. So I have this bright orange and I can add some hints of bright orange here just to add some glow to it. So what I'm going to do now is lightly with my finger, I'm going to rub the pastel just slightly so that I have more tooth to add my subsequent layers. Cleaning my hands. And now I have this part of the strawberry that has a highlight. So I want to use my pink and blue to create a highlight. So this is a very pale pink, and I'm going in the shape of that highlight. I'm looking where I see it. So this is the brightest area, and there's also a highlight on this side of the strawberry as well. So then I have a darker highlight, and I'm going to use a violet. This is a light violet for it, and I'm going to add it here. So painting fruit is really interesting, especially the ones with different textures. So you can see it shines through the violet. You can still see red. Sorry for my voice, I've got a cold, but you can still see red, and I'm just gonna dial it down this one a bit on this side. I will pass over my pinks so this highlight is the brightest. So now I have this brighter area, which is red, the highlights and the reflected light, and now I need to darken up the shadow a bit. So I'm adding a dark red over this area here. So this is what's gonna add shape, a 3D feel to our strawberry. And there's also some darker reds here. So now we have the main colors in place. If you went out of the line, it's okay. You can use your kneaded eraser. You can always clean up. To clean it up a bit, the eraser itself. So now we can add the texture to the strawberry. So I'm going to take my dark red and I'm looking approximately where those seeds are. I'm going to create kind of semicircles I don't need to go exactly in the same pattern that I see it on the strawberry, just to give a hint of the texture. So now we have the dark parts. Then I'm going to use a yellow to add those seeds. And now we're going to add also the light part around the dark edges. So that's what's going to make it look more realistic. And these I'm going to tap them in slightly, just to hold them back a bit. And now we can start adding the greens on top. So I'm doing them loosely. It's okay, they don't have to completely follow the same, they don't have to be completely the same as you see them on the reference. I'm adding a darker green just to add more variety here and to give them some shape. And to finish it off, I'm going to use some dark blue, and I will add it at the bottom of my strawberry just to blend it onto the surface a bit. So this is kind of going to ground it. And there's a bit of dark red here as well at the bottom. There we go. There we have a strawberry. Next we can pass to a raspberry. So here I have a single raspberry. And I'm just going to clean up a bit the strawberry with the edges where I see that kind of smudged slightly. Ooh. Okay, so now we're going to pass on to the raspberry. So I have my raspberry, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my red, and I'm going to draw out basically the seed shapes. I have to clean my finger. Of the raspberry itself. So I'm going to put it and create kind of a drop shape this way. And let the gray of the paper create kind of an edge between these shapes. This is going to be more of a sketchy kind of raspberry, more of a sketch. And again, I'm going to do the same thing here. And I'll add some red here in the central part here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the darker color to it. So I see that this seed here, this is a dark red. It's quite dark, and basically I'm going on the side of the seed which is dark with this color. And then we have quite a dark part over here. Now I'm gonna add a brighter pink just to give some sparkle to these seeds. A bit here in the back as well. And with a very light pink, the same one I used for the strawberry, I'm going to separate our seeds. I'm looking at my reference photo and basically I'm just going over the very lightest areas. Here I see that there's a lot of light catching. And as we're going further away, I'm going to use a purple, because here we don't have as much light, we don't have it as bright as on this side of the strawberry. This side is more in the shadow. Forgot one. So I'm gonna pat these a bit, just to dial them down a bit, so they're not as bright as the ones on this side. And also here, I'm just gonna smudge them just a little bit, just not to have them as harsh. There we go. And now what I want to do is I want to add just a bit more of, this is cooler red. It's not dark enough. Let's go back to the dark red. Just create a bit, draw out these seeds where they come together, they create a darker kind of angle. These lines where you can see them more clearly. And here. And here I'm gonna add brighter orange even, so as to give a bit of light to the raspberry, and some pink. Now with my kneaded eraser I can clean it up a bit. The parts where I smudged too much. And what is lacking for the berry itself, I'm going to add some dark blue here at the bottom, just to ground it a bit. And I'm going to smudge it out a bit, just slightly. If I went too far out, I can always clean it up. I'm also going to add some darker violet here on these sides of highlights, like of the reflected lights. It's a bit darker than the other one that I used. Just to give it a more interesting look. And I see that here I have also some lighter bits. I can add some orange. I'm just gonna create a more sharper edge between these seeds and the inside bit. Just so that I can separate the seeds from the bit that is on the inside. So now that I'm done with the berry itself, I can go into the leaves, and I really like raspberry leaves. So I'm using a yellowish green first. What I'm doing is basically going up and down with my pastel. And I'm gonna do the same thing in this direction, just going to turn my sheet slightly. So this creates a more lively line. And I have some leaves on this side here as well, and here. Then I'm gonna take a darker green and with a darker green I'm creating these kind of creases in the leaf. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is more of an illustration or a sketch than painting. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. This side of the leaf is darker. I'm just gonna hint at some lines. And on this side I see that the leaf is just slightly lighter than the other one, so I'm gonna take a lighter green. Just add a bit of green. And bring back a bit of that lighter green on top. Here behind the raspberry, I'm gonna add just a bit of darkness, just to make it stand out a bit. So there we go, we have the raspberry and the strawberry. Next, I would like to do, oh my gosh, ribes, how do you call that? These berries here, the red ones. So again, we're going to be using different reds, and I already sketched it out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my orangier red, and I'm going to create my berries. As these berries have a glossy appearance, we will be blending here. So it might look overwhelming in the beginning to have so many berries at once, but we're just going to take it one at a time. So I just took my time to draw them out as I see them in my reference. So just going to take one at a time and draw them out one at a time as well. There we go. We have different berries here. Now what I'm going to do is just going to blend it slightly, just to create that denser shape. Okay, so now with a darker red, we can go in and map in those. I think this is just a bit too dark. I need a lighter red. I'm going to go with this one. Yeah, this is a cooler, darker red. I'm going in and maybe a bit too light. Let's try the one that I had here. Yes, this is the perfect one. You can also go for a warmer red. That's gonna be fine as well. So with this shadow, we're basically separating one berry from another. I'm just looking at my reference and I'm roughly sketching in the shadows. And you will see now that we will start adding the highlights, you will see how the shapes emerge. It's gonna be like, it's like magic. I really love how pastels look. Like working with them, it's very interesting to see the immediate result. So we have one berry that's dark behind there, and then we have another berry. One more thing you can do when creating studies like these is give yourself a time limit. Say you want to spend only 10 minutes per berry. That's going to make you look at the general picture and not get stuck on all the small details that you don't need in a sketch. I'm going over the shadow areas, and you can see how this already separates one berry from another. And because these berries are all red, even the reflected light here, we have it red. Depending on the surroundings, of course, of the berries, they would have different reflected light on them as well. That would be interesting to see. So now I'm gonna go in with a dusty shade of pink. Let me try this one. What is this? It's quite good. And I'm gonna create a highlight on my berries. So that's one done and many more to go. So here what I see a slight reflected light, not the highlight itself. I'm loosening the pressure so it kind of blends in with the red. You can see that here it's very light, and then where the true highlight is, I'm going to press harder. Again, here I have the true highlight and the reflected light, because berries are like, berries have this glossy surface on them. They will have lots of reflected lights on them. Very important to remember that the shape of highlights and shadows, they bring out the form. So if you get your highlights and shadows wrong, it's gonna look, there's gonna be something off about the whole picture. So here I have a slighter reflection. This one, it has this reflected light on top here as well that goes around the berry. As you can see, I'm not blending this anymore, just leaving it as it is. Even if it's not blended, it still looks very glossy. And then we will be adding a brighter pink as the main highlight as well, just to make it stand out a bit more. It's too bright. So here we have another one. So as you can see, with my red underneath, with the red that I have, I'm gonna fix the shape here. With the red that I have underneath, it kind of blends in together and it creates these wonderful reflected lights. I love painting and drawing all the shiny surfaces. You can already see how cool it looks. Now I'm going to take a brighter pink. I'm going to add that highlight and I'm going to look at the shape of it as well, trying to give the shape as I see it. Voila, we have the berries. Now we need a dark brown to create those little tips. And I'm just barely touching with my pastel. This is a unison, it really overlays anything else that you put. Love unison pastel. So there we go. And willingly we can add the very center just a bit, a tad of ochre color, just to liven it up a bit. There we go. So now I'm going to clean my hands. I have very dirty hands. So now that my hands are clean, and my phone is dying, I can finish up with the stock. And it's very light, so I'm using my yellow-green, and I'm going carefully as I see it on my reference, more or less. And drawing out the stock. And I'm just going to add a bit of shadow to it with a slightly darker green. I'm trying not to make it too thick. This is going to push some of those little branches away. And what we need now is I'm going to use dark blue again, just to create a bit of ground shadow, just so that we ground it a bit. There we go. We have our berries. I'm just going to intensify a bit the darkness here in between so I can tell them apart, some of the berries. shadows, we need to just slightly to intensify them in some places. To give it a bit more depth. And here we go. We have 3 of our berries ready, and I hope you found this short tutorial interesting. I will be posting more videos like these if you like them. Do let me know in the comments below the video if you would like to see more sketches and maybe more food illustration, because I really love food illustration, and especially berries. It was really fun to do. So I would really love to hear from you in the comments if you would like to see something particular, and maybe we can do a tutorial together on a particular subject. And yeah, I would really appreciate it if you could like this video and do subscribe to my channel for more stuff. So I'll be seeing you in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye, and have a very berry weekend.